I'm going to do a big bulk.
Coach Greg and Eddie Hall's prepping for a bodybuilding competition. And no, it's not freaking clickbait. He's actually getting ready to compete in a bodybuilding competition.
And it's something I've never done. And something that, not 100%, but something I think I'm going to try my hand at. I think bodybuilding is a great transfer over from strongman.
And so I'm watching him on Instagram. I see him doing the pose. And I swipe left. I know it was swiping to the left. And he goes through some compulsory poses. And he's going pose to pose, transitioning, and I'm thinking, this is a hoax. It's a joke. Eddie Hall's not seriously considering entering competition. And so he's spreading the wings, doing the lat spread, and he's being very funny and comical. And so I'm thinking the entire time, this is a joke. And so he's doing the side chest pose, and he's rowing the boat. Let's row our boats. I'm Eddie Hall. I'm getting ready for the side chest. Yay! And so he spreads the lats, and you see, there's not much difference. They're not getting very wide in comparison to the wide waist. This is not the ideal shape for bodybuilding. Not saying he can't do it, but he obviously does not have pro-level genetics in terms of shape and symmetry. Size, sure. Guy's 360 pounds, he's huge. But to do well in bodybuilding, it's more than just having a lot of muscle. It's about getting the detail, the symmetry, the proportions, and so on.
What am I aiming for? I'm not going to be big rabbit. I'm thinking more, it's sort of in between. It's a bit like Chris Bumstead, but with ridiculous mass to it as well.
And so does Eddie Hall have realistic goals? Well, he's like, well, let's be honest. I'm not going to be as big as Big Ramy. A little bit big. You know, I'm more realistic. You know, I'm thinking more like Chris freaking Bumstead. I actually think it would be far easier for Eddie Hall to look like Big Ramy than to look like Chris Bumstead. Chris Bumstead, 4-time Mr. Olympia champion, has a tiny waist, broad shoulders, 6'1", weighs in at 240 pounds, but looks way bigger than he really is. And so let's be realistic here. Eddie Hall right now at 360 pounds, despite having a six-pack, that's right, he has really developed abs, is above 25% body fat. You're thinking there's no way he's got abs. Yes, but have you seen the rest of his physique? His arms, his chest, his back, his lats. When you're trying to determine someone's body fat percentage, you don't simply look at their abdominals. If they have abs, oh wow, so lean. If they don't, oh wow, so fat.
Body fat, probably, if you did a DEXA scan, I bet you I'm hitting 25, 20, 26% body fat, which is quite average for most males in the UK.
But in bodybuilding standards, even this is considered to be overweight and or obese. And so if I had to take my best guess, I'm giving him 30% body fat. You know, you're thinking there's no way that's possible. But looking at the thickness of the fat in the entire body, I do believe he's very close to 30%. And so at 30% body fat at 360 pounds, which is remarkable, it gives him a lean body mass of 252 pounds. That's right, with 0% body fat, Eddie Hall would be 252 pounds. Sounds incredible. And to get to about Coach Greg's level leanness, of which he could probably do well in guest posing, give him 8.5%. And so for Eddie Hall to get about as lean as Coach Greg, which would allow him to be in guest posing shape, wouldn't be shredded, but certainly respectable on stage, he would have to weigh close to 275 pounds, minus water and so on to get dehydrated, and so probably a little bit under 270. And so he has about 90 pounds to lose. I know it's shocking, I know it's hard to believe, but for Eddie Hall to compete in bodybuilding and to look incredible on stage, probably have to lose 90 plus pounds.
You know, I've done the strongman, done a bit of boxing. I was a national champion swimmer back in the day. I think bodybuilding is a great transfer over from strongman.
Eddie Hall has close to 90 pounds to lose to compete in a bodybuilding competition, and look where he wants to be. He's not going to settle for second best. This is a true specimen and athlete, a former national champion swimmer. That's right, national champion swimmer. Guy's the world's strongest man, competed in boxing against Thor the Mountain. But to compete in a bodybuilding competition after eating anything and everything for years, Well, that is a very difficult challenge. Not only is he going to suffer, have no energy, feel like garbage, also mentally, what is he going to feel like once he regains the weight? But we're talking about Eddie Hall, and this guy, he is a true athlete, and I do think if anyone can do it, that Eddie Hall certainly want to be one of those guys.
I'm going to do a big bulk, so I'm going to blow up, get all my muscles big and juicy again.
Eddie Hall does not need to do a big bulk. Eddie Hall is a bulk. This is the definition of a bulk. This is not what you should look like when you begin a bulk. This should be the end point of the bulk. When your body fat is above 25%, you are considered to be overweight and or obese. And adding on more body fat is not going to help you to build more muscle. It's in fact going to hurt you. When you get too big, too unhealthy, too much body fat, it's not good for your health. Does Eddie Hall look healthy? When you're 360 pounds, what toll is that going to play on your heart? Is bodybuilding inherently unhealthy? No. Losing weight, doing cardio, lifting with weights, building muscle, getting in shape, it's not unhealthy. Perhaps dieting to extremely low body fat percentage, yeah, it's not good. And if you're using performance-enhancing drugs, in particular if you're abusing them, well, that's also not good. Hopefully, Eddie Hall is going to do it natural. Perhaps he'll use GO2 Max to help with his cardio, to allow him to burn more calories in less time, become a better butter burner. Perhaps he'll use Ecti Builder. This contains a variety of beta-ecti steroids that have been shown in studies to build muscle. And if his testosterone levels are low from dieting, of course he can get G-test or 3-test to allow him to have more testosterone to help him keep or build more muscle. But how many of you think he's going to do this 100% natural? I don't think so. Perhaps he is. I don't know. But if he's going on a massive bulk and he's comparing himself to when he was 430 pounds, which is about 1 billion stones or 1 billion kilograms, it's a lot. He looked like a sphere, his words, not mine.
Literally a spheric human being.
And if he bulks up to 400 plus pounds, do you know what that's going to mean? He's going to have to lose even more body fat. Building muscle, sure. But would it not make more sense to build muscle and lose fat at the same time? Is he not already bulked? Look at his physique. Do you really think he needs to eat a massive calorie surplus, or any surplus at all, to build muscle? It's the new year, new you, new Eddie Hall. He's already 30% body fat, and you can argue me, maybe he's 25. Or you can even argue me more, maybe he's 21. Imagine thinking he's only 21%. No way is it possible he's only 21%. But let's say it's only 21. It's still too much. It's still too much for his health. Health is wealth. And if you're going to compete in a bodybuilding competition, I don't want it to take years off your life. And so please, try to do so without the abuse of PEDs.
Hoping to get on stage sort of the back end of next year, so probably October, November, December next year.
And one thing I like is this is not a short-term goal. He realizes I'm 360 pounds and I'm not going to compete at 360. I've got a lot of weight to lose. And so he's going on a massive bulk where he's going to put on a ton of muscle and hopefully not a lot of body fat. And his plans are to step on stage next year. Next winter, in fact. And so winter is coming, but not this year. And so considering he has about 90 pounds of fat to lose, would it not make more sense that he starts the cut now? Consider this. He could lose 1 pound a week for an entire year, lose 50 pounds, and get into striking distance of doing a competition. If he is doing this enhanced, he most certainly could eat in a small calorie deficit and still put on a ton of muscle.
Please be kind, people. We've just come out of Christmas. So, just, the odd pound sitting here, there, and everywhere.
And so he's showing you his physique. We just came out of Christmas, he says, and so please be kind. And so he's tapping the muscles. He's saying, this is where I'm at. There's nothing inherently wrong with this. It's just that I don't think he should try to increase his calories and get even fatter. Bodybuilding is about being shredded. To look like Chris Bumstead, which is his goal, or Big Ramy, it's not just how much muscle you have, it's how lean are you. And if you look at some of the best bodybuilders in the world, you think they're all dirty bulking or going on massive bulks? Let's look at Derek Lunsford, this year's most improved bodybuilder. He went from the 212 champion last year to putting on over 20 pounds of muscle and getting second place in the open division. And so he put on over 20 pounds of muscle in 1 year. And did he do so by going on a massive bulk? No. He quite literally made a video. He was eating around 3,500 calories a day. He got at his heaviest perhaps 11% body fat. Did you see how he looked guest posing? That was his off season. That's when he got fat. Did he look like he didn't have a six-pack? Did he look out of shape? Of course not. And so when I make videos saying if you don't have abs, you're fat, I'm talking about bodybuilders. And so if you're a bodybuilder and you can't see your abs, you sure as heck are fat, because when it comes stage time, you need to be shredded.
We're going to do some squats, leg extensions, some leg press, hamstrings.
So Eddie Hall is going through all the lifts: squat, bench, deadlifts, shoulder press, all exceptionally strong, just like a world champion powerlifter or strongman would be. The problem is, in bodybuilding, it's all about your proportions, having that ridiculously small waist. And in lifting all those weights and pushing all that food, eating more food than last time, perhaps 10,000 calories a day in some instances, it's gotten him to be a lot more blocky. But the most important factor, considering he already has a lot of muscle, would be the conditioning. And so Eddie Hall's main difficulty, the hardest thing that he's going to have to overcome, is being on a diet. The bulk, we already know he can bulk, but will he be able to handle the diet? And so considering he's starting off the year with a massive bulk, does that make sense to you? You know what he should be doing? You guessed it, getting my friggin' cookbook. Low calorie, high protein meals for the big eater. If Eddie Hall is not a big eater, then who the heck is? He gets the book, eats a variety of the meals at any time. And so Eddie Hall, if you want my friggin' cookbook, send me a DM. We'll send it to you. You can make videos eating from the cookbook, losing weight. You would not believe how much easier your journey would be.
What am I aiming for? I'm not going to be big ram. I'm thinking more, it's sort of in between. It's a bit like Chris Bumstead, but with ridiculous mass to it as well.
A bit like Chris Bumstead, but just with more ridiculous size. You know, Chris Bumstead, it's not hard enough to look like Chris Bumstead. Let's just look like Chris Bumstead, but let's add additional ridiculous amounts of size. You know the only human being that could do that? Chris Bumstead himself, if he perhaps doubled up on his PD use. And you know what happened then? Probably died 40. And so we don't want that. We don't want Chris Bumstead with more ridiculous amounts of size. We don't want it from anyone.
Don't really need to do calves. The calves are there.
And so Eddie Hall doesn't really need to train calves, and I have to agree. And after all, the guy's weighed over 400 pounds his entire life, and so he's pretty much been training calves his entire life with body weight alone.
So just some light squats. We haven't done squats for ages. As I say, training's been very minimal. So let's go do some light squats and then we'll get on to the...
And so great to see Eddie Hall training with his son. Apparently he has ADHD, and training in the gym is helping him both physically and mentally, helping to settle him down, allow him to sleep better. And so this is amazing. So parents of the world, take your kids to the gym. Get them involved in it. The benefits are not only physical, they're mental, they're social, spiritual, everything. And so please lead by example. Be that role model. Do it not only for yourself, do it for your children, your friends, everyone.
Well, yeah, it's a long way off. We're talking 7 to 9 months of bulking and then 2 to 3 months of dieting.
And so let me know in the comments section, should Eddie Hall get my friggin' cookbook? Should he start cutting now, or should he go on a massive bulk? Has he already bulked? If he were very lean, perhaps 15% body fat or less, I could say, yeah, I could see the benefits of going on a bulk. But when you're already bulked, you're already over 20% body fat, you don't need to push in more food to grow and build muscle. And I'd also caution him, be very careful if you're not doing this 100% natural. Being a bigger guy, well over 300 pounds, it's not easy on the heart. And so, of course, you want any of the HCLT supplements, just write me. We'll send it to you. You can try all of them. Will absolutely make a huge difference in your training. But for Eddie Hall, more so than the supplements, you gotta get the friggin' cookbook. That will change your life.
So the first session of 2023. It's not a good session, mate.
Better than last time.
Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to help the algorithm, like the video if you liked it. Did you subscribe? Subscribe, press that button, press it, do it now.
Come on, do it now.
Don't forget the Arnold Classic is coming up. Looking to get that, use code GREG10, get 10% off. You don't want to miss the Arnold Classic pay-per-view. Don't forget to watch one of the tube loops, just watch one. You don't have to watch them both. Follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IP Pro. Cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Circle Diet Book, code Greg, 10% off. And until next time, I am out.